Okay, hello and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your very busy day to be here. My name is Jared Sparr, and I will be your host for the presentation today. Hold tight for just a couple minutes because we're a little bit early, and we're also waiting for some attendees to get logged in. Let's see here. This is the 5 insiders tips and tricks in getting new customers in your door. So if you're a business owner and you want to get more customers coming in your door, you're in the right place. And again, my name is Jared Sparr, and I am your host for today. Just some housekeeping issues. We have a half an hour webinar in front of us, and I will do my very best to keep us on time. We will take questions at the end, and because we are recording this session, please do me a huge favor. If you have a question, put it inside of the question or the chat box. I'll see it there, and we'll address it at the very end. I do have everybody on mute. That way we can get a clean recording. So again, my name is Jared Sparr, and this is the 5 insiders tips and tricks to getting a consistent cash flow and customers in your front door. Let me start by introducing myself. I am Jared Sparr once again with Game Changing Business Solutions, and I am a cash flow consultant. I work with my customers to show them how to get reliable and predictable income. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing is showing my customers how to not trade dollars for hours. So basically, how to get paid while you're not working. And it's pretty easy to create passive leverage and residual income for your business. I think that's pretty much it. And we're pretty much right on time, so why don't we go ahead and get started. Let's see here. Come on, one more time. There we go. All right, so why do I do what I do is one thing I'd like to kind of present to you first. So please indulge me for just a couple minutes while I kind of go through that. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather was a farmer. My dad had several retail stores and wholesale stores, and I kind of followed in their footsteps. I owned a chain of flower shops. I owned a vending company. I owned an importing company, and I owned a landscaping company. At our peak, we had over 100 employees. I graduated from Central Michigan University with a master's degree in business, and one thing I really enjoyed about the business was the growth and the cash flow. And I thought I was very smart, as a younger age, trying to grow my business. I thought I knew everything and I was invincible, which I think most younger people do. And one thing I did that looking back was a huge mistake, but one thing I did in my business was I consolidated all of my businesses under one tax ID. And it was a great idea at the time because it saved me a ton of money. I didn't have to pay for accountants to do books for several different businesses. I saved on insurance. I saved on bank rec time. It was just a huge savings as far as cash flow and time went by putting everything under one tax ID. The problem came about 10 years ago. I was diagnosed with cancer, and as you can imagine, I had to take a lot of time off of work. And while I was off of work, my employees managed to embezzle a little over $600,000 from me out of one of my retail locations. Now, as you might expect, it was fairly catastrophic for that location. And if I would have had that location under a separate tax ID, I could have just bankrupted that business and closed it and called it a day because it was insulated. Well, because I had the tax ID consolidated, that wasn't the case. And within about 3 years, it was like a domino effect. One business closed, then with the burden of the bills from that business, the next business closed, and with the burden of those two, the next one, and so forth and so on. And within 3 years, I literally lost everything. So, why do I do what I do? Because going through that experience, I never ever want to see what happened to me happen to any other business owner ever again. And I seek out the newest and most technological advances when it comes to cash flow. And I teach that to my customers so that they can not only have that experience that happened to them, but they can stay ahead of the curve. And I'm really, really excited by the things that I've sought out and learned and what I bring to my customers. So that's why I do what I do. All right, so going forward a little bit, let me ask you, what is your biggest struggle in your business today? And typically, cash flow is the source of that. We do a survey on our website, and it's been an ongoing survey. We record what this question is and what the answer is from all of our customers, and it's pretty consistent from business owner to business owner. Not really dependent on the type of business, but just business owners in general, that they want to get new customers in the door by some means or get their customers to spend more money or come back more often is number one on that list. and then it kind of goes off from there. But that's the one thing we do is we always interview our customers to find out what they need, and getting new customers is always the biggest issue. So if getting more customers in the door sounds like a need that you have in your business, then you're in the right place. And if struggling to make that happen is something that sounds familiar, you're in the right place too. So, okay, moving on with tip number one. And my marketing degree from my undergrad from Michigan State was pretty consistent with every single business consultant that I've spoken with. So, tip number one is defining your target market. And I want you to kind of rip out a piece of paper real quick and write down some notes and think about who is your target market. Most people will say something pretty general, like, say, if you're a flower shop, you might say, well, I sell flowers to people who need them, kind of a thing. And we might try and narrow that down to get more defined, like maybe it's for weddings, or maybe it's for funerals, or maybe it's for graduations or events or something like that. But what I want you to do is for your business very specifically is try and narrow that down. And while you do that, I'm going to tell you a quick story. My personal trainer is a close friend of mine, and we've been working together for about a year and a half now. And we did a little bit of a trade-off for services, basically my consulting for the personal training services. And when we sat down and did this exercise, here's what we took him through. I asked him, who's your target market? And he said, well, people who want to get in shape, which kind of makes sense for a personal trainer. And so I said, well, that's not good enough. Let's get more specific. And here's the three questions I want you to write down and ask yourself, because here's the three questions I asked him. Number one, who is your best customer? Who is your favorite customer to work with? Think about that for a second. Number two, who's your most profitable customer or group of customers? Think about that for a second. And number three, which customers actually have the disposable income to work with you? So depending on your type of business, that might be a huge factor. For him, personal training, he might have some people that really would love to work with him, but they just can't afford to. So it's something really comes into play in his situation. So hopefully you put down something on that paper and it seems like it's pretty consistent with who you are and your brand and your type of business. And that can be your target market. That can be your preferred customer. And it's so important because that plays into your branding, your special offers, your marketing, and it will play into passive leverage and residual income for you. Okay, so going back to the personal trainer, we went through several different options, and he wanted to work with professional athletes, which sounds really cool and it's a great way to market your business. But bottom line is what we came up with was moms, recent mothers who want to get their pre-baby body back. And think about that for just 1 second. You instantly, as soon as I said that, got an image in your head of who his customer is. And that's how quickly, how easily, and how defined it needs to be. So that is his perfect customer. And for him, marketing to them is pretty easy because he knows where to reach them. And creating passive leverage and residual income is pretty easy because he can ask them what they need and he can create programs specifically for them. And if you're inspired to learn more about how this would apply specifically for your business, please stay tuned and we'll go through that at the end. Okay, so step 2 is marketing to your target market, or in this case, I'm going to say social media marketing. And the reason why I say that is most customers that I deal with at this point in time are struggling. I'll be frank. They have a hard time paying their bills, and they can't afford to spend $3,000 on a direct mail campaign or a newsletter campaign or something like that where it just costs money. So social media is the main thing that I'm going to focus on as far as getting customers in your door. So now that we know who your preferred client is, there's going to be some consistencies with that preferred client. And the consistencies are going to be where they hang out. And it could be trade shows, for example, which again is a paid advertisement, but that's something to think about is where your customers, your preferred clients hang out. And I'm going to focus on social media. So social media, I think a lot of people use it in probably not the most efficient way. And I'm going to start with LinkedIn. Think about if you are on LinkedIn, what groups are you part of? And most likely the groups that you are part of are groups of your industry. So you're following your own industry, but not necessarily following the groups where your target market hangs out. And you probably don't focus a lot on those groups because a lot of the information that's in there you know, or maybe you're going in there once in a while just to kind of check up on things. Whereas your target market, that's a huge resource. You have so many opportunities inside that if you join a group of, say, in his situation, he found one on Facebook instead of LinkedIn, but it was a group of moms, post baby moms who are trying to get their pre baby body back. And he found so much useful information there without even posting, but just by following the posts and the threads in there and the conversations of, what's important to them, what are they looking for, what is their time management, what products can you bring to them that'll make them happy, and how does it fit into what they're doing right now. So that's a huge resource for you. Number two, take a look and see who the thought leaders are in there. So if there's a thought leader in that group, that's someone that you want to be friends with and you want to get in contact with. Have a cup of coffee and earn their trust, because that's someone who can endorse you to the group as a thought leader. And instantaneously, if there's 12,000 people in that group, all 12,000 will recognize you as an authority very quickly. And thirdly, if you're advertising, you want to advertise in that group. Say, for example, one of the mistakes I made early on was my primary customer are veterinarians, and the person of contact for me is the practice manager. So I went on LinkedIn and I tried to friend as many practice managers at veterinarians as I could. Well, it wasn't too long before LinkedIn shut me down and said, if you keep doing this, we're going to close your account. So trying to find a workaround is how I got into marketing for specific groups. I have probably 700 friends on LinkedIn, and maybe 100 are practice managers. I joined 4 different groups where veterinarians hang out, and I have access to a little over 20,000 practice managers in that group. So if I make one post in that group, it reaches 20,000 people instead of me trying to one-on-one trying to reach these individuals. So it's a very efficient use of your time, and it gets to the right people at the right time for them. One thing to keep in mind is, depending on their settings in LinkedIn, they might get a personal email for every post in that group, which is super efficient for you because now you're sending emails to 20,000 people and it's not spam. So it's a great way to reach your target audience. One thing I need to advise you on when it comes to that is to be consistent. I post inside of my groups every Tuesday and Tuesday and Thursday. Try that again. That way it's consistent. So they know exactly when I'm going to post. I post on a webinar advertisement on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays I post some useful information. So they know what to expect. There's consistency to it, and it builds trust. And I always try and make it a little personal about me, not necessarily me, but in my voice. So again, it makes it personable instead of a business who's advertising it. It builds that trust factor, so they're more likely to want to come to your webinar or to trust you and do business with you. The information that you post. What information do you post is a big question I get. And there's 2 things. The first one is do surveys. Surveys are invaluable because that'll give you information of what your target's looking for. And number 2 is Google Alerts. Say, for example, inside of that group in LinkedIn, there's a thread about time management. You can put in time management into Google Alerts, and that's easy to go to. It's just inside of a internet search bar, put in Google Alerts. You'll get to the Google Alerts page, and you can set up a Google Alert to come to you once a day, every time it happens, once a week, for a specific phrase that gets added to the internet. So say, for example, you put in time management. Anytime there's an article on time management, you get an email notification telling you about this article. If it's relevant, it's a great post for you to put on that group. Here's some information on time management with a link to that article, and now your customer base is coming to you for information on what they need. So you're building that trust factor. And let's make sure I didn't miss anything here. Social media is free. That's the bottom line, is to make sure that you find out who your target market is, and then you can go on social media and you can market to them very inexpensively. Now, if you do have a budget, next step obviously would be to do more cost-effective marketing or cost pay-per marketing type of an opportunity, which would be like going to a trade show where your target market is, or maybe a direct mail piece or direct email piece. There's a lot of options out there. All right, so tip number 3, video marketing. Video marketing, I think, is very underrated. I think there's a lot of huge opportunities for it, and I think a lot of people make it out to be more than what it needs to be. And what I mean by video marketing is most cameras, just regular digital cameras, have a video feature in them, and you can very easily um, record a video. And most people, like I said, make it out to be more than it needs to be. It doesn't have to be professional. It could be you sitting in a coffee shop. It could be you hanging out by the pool. It could be you at your kitchen table. It could be you at your desk. You can flub the words a little bit, and that's what makes it real versus a scripted version from a professional business. And that's what builds trust because your audience knows that you're a real person. So you can even do this on your smartphone and post it to your YouTube channel or even your Facebook very quickly and easily. And keep in mind, all of that again is free. So it's a very inexpensive way for you to get a message out to people. And again, same content, getting the content from the surveys from your customers is where you get that content and following up on the threads and the information that they're looking for that's relevant to your business. Let's see here. 97% of all purchases are researched on the internet before that purchase is made. And think about this last time you made a major purchase, like say a washer and a dryer. Did you just go into the department store and purchase them? Or did you go into multiple department stores? Or did you go online and do some research before you wasted your time and your gasoline? Chances are you went online and did some research, and before you went into that one or two department stores, you already had a pretty good idea of what you were going to get. So that's very important as far as the video marketing goes, because as you're putting those posts up there, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Google owns YouTube. So YouTube is very high in the search rankings, and your customers, if they're looking for something inside of that video, are more likely to find you because it's more searchable. So that's a great way for you to get your message out to your perfect clients. And so again, a very inexpensive way to do it as well. One thing to keep in mind, and I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, I might be a little bit, is that 4% of all purchases are made the first time someone meets you. So if someone finds your video online, 4%, I think that's a high number, going to actually buy from you that first time. I think it's actually less than 4%, probably less than 1% in reality. But think about that. You don't want to lose that opportunity. So when you do get them, you want to capture their information. And we'll talk about that a little bit more because I think I am getting ahead of myself here. Other videos, you want to do testimonials. Those are great. They can be video testimonials from your customers. If you're not real comfortable in front of the camera, you can do lots of different ways. You can record videos. You can do PowerPoints and record them. You can do GoToMeetings and record them. And there's a program called Jing where you can actually do like a PowerPoint, go through the PowerPoint speaking and record it again. So that's a great way for you to record information and get it online without being in front of a camera. And content. Make sure your content is directed towards your customer. I like to use the 80-10-10 or the 80-20 rule. Mine's 80-10-10, whereas 80% of it is information that they are looking for. 10% is personal information, so that builds your relationship with them, your personal relationship, and that builds trust. And 10% can be salesy. So basically, you have a 10% ratio of a sales pitch. So that's kind of the information you want to put in there. And again, if you can work your sales pitch into your information so it comes across where it's not sales pitchy, that's the perfect way. Because think about your own personal experiences as a consumer. You probably love to buy things, but you hate when someone tries to sell you. So that's pretty much how it works. All right, so what is our next tip? Websites. Website is tip number 4. And websites are very, very important and crucial in business today. I think in years past, websites were pretty much online brochures. And I want you to ask yourself, removing a shopping cart, of course, from this equation, does your website generate income for you? Does your website actively find prospects and qualify them to be customers for you? And that's what's so important, is that you need to have a website that's working for you. In most cases, people think that this is really expensive, and the reality is it's not very expensive at all. It's actually less than a traditional website, and it's something that you can maintain on your own. And I'm going to go into that in just a little bit. So one thing I want you to keep in mind is not only having a website that's active for you, but can you measure it? And this is going back to that 4% of all visitors will purchase from you at the first time. What do you do with the 96% that don't? Well, they might purchase sometime in the future because right now they're just shopping, and you want to be able to have their information, to get it on your website, to continually send them emails or newsletters, reminders, and information that they're looking for. So you build that trust. And then when they're ready to purchase, you've already built a relationship with them and they're ready to buy from you. So, how do you do that? And if you go to my own website, which is jaredsparr.com, and it's on the bottom left of your screen, you'll see exactly how I do that. I have an informational video. You sign up for a free ebook. Once you get the ebook, you download it, you've got some great content. But I also send out an email once a week with follow-up information, and I send a newsletter once a week with follow-up information. So you can get ongoing information from me on how to provide cash flow from your business. Now, my ultimate goal with my customers is a discovery session. I seed my discovery session through all of my information, but I don't push it on anybody. So the idea is when you're ready, you'll click that button and you'll become a customer of mine. Until then, you can have all the free information you want. And if you opt out of the program, you know what? I'm not disappointed because chances are you weren't a good fit for me anyway, and I wasn't a good fit for you. And there's no harm, no foul. So I'm not marketing to my customers that are not my customers or to my prospects that are not a good fit. And because this is email marketing, there's virtually no cost to it because you can set it up in an autoresponder system. There's virtually no time to it. The time that I'd take is basically once a week for about an hour and a half a day. I do my newsletter, and I do my blog. And that's pretty much all I do. Everything else is already pre-done and automatically goes out. So it's a great way of keeping in touch with your preferred customer without spending a lot of time. And when they are ready to buy, they're going to buy from you. All right. So a lot of people, like I said, I think make this out to be more than it is or get overwhelmed or are concerned about cost. There's lots of different ways to do this. I have a web hosting company. It's HostGator, and it costs me $15 a month for 22 websites. Basically, it's unlimited websites for $15 a month. That's pretty cheap. My domain names are a little bit more because I have 22 domain names and they cost me $12.50 a year. I manage those myself, so that's a couple $100. And my shopping cart is a free option. That's one that I put in there that I just got a free one. The autoresponder system, you can start that as low as $25 a month. So you're talking maybe $45 a month, $50 a month for a virtual salesperson. You can do it yourself, of course. There's tons of classes if you go onto YouTube to show you how to do it. You can contact me. I'll put you in touch with several different options that can do it for you. We have relationships with people who are willing to do it for $150 a month flat fee, and they just ask for a 3-year contract. That way, you're not loaded up front with that development cost, and they get their money long term. There's people that have classes that will show you how to do it yourself for a small fee. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this without getting overwhelmed. And of course, if you are overwhelmed, you can also pay someone to do it. For a basic site, one of my web developers will do it for $500. And I have other web developers who do, they say basically just pass me the torch. And for $2,000, they'll do the whole thing, but it's a lot more turnkey and complete. So it depends on what you're looking for. Either way, don't be overwhelmed and we'll get you the information you need. All right. So marketing strategy, and this is the part that I really, really love. This is where we show you how to do passive leverage and residual income. We've shown you how to define your perfect customer. We've shown you how to figure out where they hang out. We've shown you how to market to them for a very low cost. And I've shown you how to qualify them in a system so that when they're ready to buy, you built a relationship with them and they buy from you. The old business model was trading dollars for hours. And I think we can all agree that even if you're a high paid attorney, you're still not getting paid unless you're working. Of course, there's the option where you have employees working for you, and I understand that. But what if it's like a long holiday weekend like the 4th of July and your office is closed? Are you still generating income? And people might argue with me, oh, but I have a website and it's generating income all the time. I understand that. But is there a way that you can generate passive leveraged and residual income for your business? And I'm going to go back to our personal trainer example. Passive income for him. Think about this. His target market is the moms who want to get their pre-baby body back. And in his situation, he's kind of geographically limited. He's in Metro Detroit area, and he maybe draws from about a 45-minute radius, which to me is huge. I wouldn't drive 45 minutes for a personal trainer who I'm only going to be with for an hour. I mean, it's an hour and a half driving for an hour session. I know it just doesn't make sense to me. But he has that already, but it still limits his customer base where he could be selling his information to customers literally not just in the United States, but all around the world. Because there's people, you can probably imagine in every country that there's women that want to have their pre-baby body back. How does he do that? If he works with one client, he can tell his client, hey, I'm going to do this for you for free if you let me videotape it. And he goes through the series of all of her workouts with her. She's asking questions along the way, so it's a perfect opportunity for her to identify with the prospective customers because they're going to have those same questions. And as he records those sessions, he can sell those on demand, downloadable videos. So now he has a great opportunity to sell a product that he only has to record once and it can be downloaded 1,000,000 times at no additional cost. So it's a great passive income source for him. And it can be fairly inexpensive. So again, you might have people who maybe they don't have the disposable income to hire him full time. They can use that option and it's going to be far less than hiring him full time. Leveraged income. And think of leveraged as in instead of seeing your customers one on one or instead of him as the personal trainer working on a customer one on one, he could work on customers as a class. So he can have 10, 12 customers in a class. And again, that also plays into that disposable income. So now you've got these customers who can't afford to hire him full time, but maybe on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he has a class and he limits it to 10 or 12 people. Now, if his normal rate is $100 an hour, he's got 10 people paying $25 each. He's making more than double what he would have made for that same hour of time. And his customers are ecstatic because they're paying less than 25%. So that's leveraged income. It's a great way to, you're still trading dollars for hours, but instead of getting that one-on-one ratio, you're getting as much as 10 to 1. So it's a great way to duplicate yourself. And residual income is the best. Oh, I love, 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 love residual income. For him, we talked about a couple different options. We talked about memberships where a customer can basically sign up. They become a member of his program. They get his weekly newsletter. They get 15 minutes with him training or a week or an hour a month that they can come in. And it's a flat fee that they pay $100 a month. And in addition to that, they get access to all his previous videos immediately and all of his new and upcoming videos. So that way they can watch the videos. If they have questions, they can call him and ask him. He has a review session, so he tracks their progress. So he's still providing everything that he would provide, but it's passive money. So if he's got 100 of those clients all paying him, say $100 a month, he's making $10,000 a month, basically, before he even steps foot in that door. That's income that he knows he's getting every single month. And some might stay with him for a month or two, some might stay for 6 months, some might stay for 5 years, depending on what they're getting from him. So as long as he's following up and surveying his customers on their needs, he's providing new and relevant information for his client base, and that's the reason why they stay. And a program like that is pretty easy to set up. It's a lot easier than you might think. And if you're inspired to find out more, again, discovery sessions, how we go through that with our clients, and we show them exactly how to do that. So now we're at the point of questions, and we're getting really tight. It's been 28 minutes. So let me just scan through this really quick and see if there are any really relevant questions so I don't waste your time. Target marketing. Again, target marketing, make sure that you ask those 3 questions. Who are your favorite customers? Who are your most profitable customers? And which of those have the money to actually work with you? Value of service is one other question we have. We'll deal with that at a later time. And with that, I think we are running short on time. So let me just do this. For any questions you do have, please email them to me. Even if this is you're watching the recorded session, jared@jaredsparr.com, that is on the screen. You can also call me. I am in a lot of meetings, so just leave a voicemail and I will get back with you in 24 hours. And if you do have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. All right. So sorry, I just skipped a slide there. I really appreciate you were taking the time out of your day to be with us. I mean, sincerely. And I just wanted to let you know that you can get more information. We kind of just scratched the surface here. You can get a ton more information on my website. Again, that's on the screen, jaredsparr.com, where you can also download a free ebook, and that has the 12 different points of my proprietary formula, which is the ultimate, the excuse me, the ultimate. I'm drawing a blank here. Well, it's my proprietary formula. It's on the main screen, and you can get there's 12 different steps of how to create more reliable and predictable cash flow for your business. And out of those steps, we've only covered 2. So you can get all 12 of those steps inside my free ebook. And again, that's totally free. If you are inspired to find out more about how this does apply to your business, on that same screen and also on the Discovery Session tab of my website, you can sign up for a Discovery Session. I do charge $100 for a Discovery Session. It's a half an hour and it goes by very quickly. I'm not supposed to tell you the price, but the reason I do is because I offer a 500% return on investment guarantee. One part of getting reliable and predictable cash flow is cutting your costs. And I ask that you send in some information prior to our discovery session. I do some shopping with my vendors, and typically I can save my customers $1,100 to $1,200 every single time. So if you'd like to have $1,100 or $1,200 in your pocket instead of being mailed out to your vendors every month, discovery session is the right place for you. And with that, I really, again, appreciate all of your time. Until next time, make it a profitable life. Thanks.